All right, welcome to New Old Stock. So, I was just outside trying to do some physical labor in my own yard, but I digress. I'll talk about that stuff later on. But I wanted to give you a video on boundaries and what I mean by boundaries. Let's start with the point of view of limits. So, back in the day, when I was a lot younger, about 40 years ago, I used to play basketball after work with the guys. And one of the things that I always wanted to do was be able to slam dunk the basketball. Well, this just wasn't possible. Not that I didn't try. And believe me, I tried. I tried every damn exercise that I could find. I even went to the library at the university where I went to school and looked up books on the subject of jumping. I tried everything. I tried, I even looked at karate stances on like how to set your foot to get the max amount of energy, etc. But no matter what I did, I couldn't even touch the rim. Forget about slam dunking the basketball. So that was my limit. No matter how much I tried, just about 4 inches or so from the top of the rim was about as much as I could even reach. So that became my physical limit. Now there's also a mental limit. So I'll give you an example of that. Now you can test this with IQ tests and stuff like that. No matter what you do, you're not going to get past that certain IQ number that's going to be assigned to you after you take multiple tests. It's like taking GRE tests and you have to get a certain number. And no matter how many times you study, no matter how much you study, when you take the test, you can't pass that threshold. IQ test, but it's also determines your mental limit. So as far as IQ tests are concerned, one of the ways that I gauge myself when it comes to IQ is the attempt to try to memorize the number of, let's say, random cards out of a 52 card deck, right? There was a video a while back that I saw where there were these kids that were able to memorize, random 52 cards, and they would tell you which card was the next one, and they would go all the way down through the entire deck. I went and I tried to do exercises on this kind of stuff, and the most I was able to memorize was maybe 15 cards. And that's it, right? I couldn't get past that. To me, that's an IQ limitation, and that's okay. Eventually, I'm going to make a series of videos talking about what I refer to as sufficient IQ. You don't need to be the fastest, sharpest tool in the shed, or the fastest swimmer in the race. You don't even to get into the race for that matter. You just need to understand it. That's really all that matters. The details can be fit in as you find your limits. Now, once you find these limits, just like me, I could not touch the rim, just like I can't get past 15 cards memorizing random set of cards, there are limits. Once you find those limits, then they become your boundaries, right? Just remember the song from to me, the greatest, band ever, where the line in the song was, "From first to last, the peak is never passed," right? It's a song from Rush. And I'm going to talk about Rush and stuff in one of my subsequent videos about music. So watch for that one. You might find it useful, especially for those that might want to get into music. But anyway, I digress. Once you found those limits, you determine your boundaries, you defined your boundaries. Now you want to limit, what you want to do now is not necessarily limit what you can do within the boundaries, but do things within those boundaries. Don't go outside of those. They're going to take you in places where you don't need to go, and it causes stress. It's unnecessary. If you like writing, but you're not necessarily a great writer, at least write something, because even then, there's a lesson in finding your limit, your capabilities of what you can write about or how you can write. Like for me personally, I understand the mechanics of writing a story, but I can't write a story for squat. In a similar way, which is very disturbing for me since I've been playing guitar since I was 15 years old, I understand the mechanics of writing a song. I understand the mechanics of a riff, of the modes, of keys, etc. However, I can't write a song. I suppose I have as much talent as a cockroach. But again, that's my limitation. My limitation is that I understand the mechanics of it. That became my boundary. So now I work within my boundaries. And this is one of the reasons I want to make videos on music. I'm going to show you how I work within my boundaries, especially when it comes to music. So find your limits. You have to go look for them. You just can't assume they are what you think they are. Find them. They determine your boundaries. Now work within those. Then you become very focused and very, let's say, to the point, and you'll actually get things done, and you'll become significant. and mostly significant to yourself because you'll be fulfilled. That's the idea of finding your boundaries. So I'll talk about the next subject next time. All right, see ya later.